There are some lies in our science books. Taught it for 15 years. Even though I'm not teaching it anymore, I still like to study. It's so many neat things to learn. We're going to cover some of that tonight.
Perception is being managed. We are being steered and guided by a hidden hand.
The whole world has been duped by the media that is not real.
Smart thinking, possible time traveler, smart thinking.
That night, boom, contact memory.
And then just, Alex, if you don't agree, you'll be sent to a re-education camp.
Just because I'm old doesn't mean I've lost my touch with the ladies.
A lot of people here tonight felt like they lost. You know why?
Now, experts are suggesting that we're in a golden age of shape-shifting reptilian sightings. Now, why is that?
I was, and still am, a huge conspiracy guy. I literally ran out of new tin hat topics to research.
It was most definitely not capable of melting steel.
Then I would be a crackpot if I thought that was the case.
Welcome to the Hypothetical Institute, a podcast about conspiracies.
My name is Luke.
I'm Salty.
I am Cam. Welcome, folks. We've got a real cracker for you this week, I think.
Do we?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about Luna Park and the Luna Park fire.
In Sydney, Luna Park, Sydney.
Yeah, I thought we were doing Melbourne, and I looked it up, and I'm like, oh, it's Sydney.
There is a ghost story at Luna Park, Melbourne.
Oh, okay.
Maybe for another day, or maybe as a Patreon extra during the week.
Yeah.
And
we're also last week we talked about dodgy Nazi scientists.
Every week we talk about dodgy Nazi scientists, I feel like.
This week we're going to talk about dodgy Nazi magicians. And some there's a few dodgy Nazi scientists in here, but they're like, these are super dodgy ones. These guys aren't coming up with Lyme disease.
No. They're coming up with worse things that are far more impractical.
Yeah.
But before we get into all of that, just a reminder that we now have a Patreon.
Yes.
That is sick AF.
It is. So much cool swag and extra bits.
I'm wearing a cool cooked unit pin right now.
So am I.
So am I.
Oh, trio
unit
boys. $6.66 and up gets a pin.
Yep. And a button.
$3.33 and up gets a sick button. You actually join Button Club.
Yeah.
Because we found that we like making buttons so much.
Yeah. It's like, wow, this is awesome. Button Club.
We're just going to keep sending you buttons, and the only way you'll be able to stop is by cancelling your Patreon. And even then, we may just continue sending you buttons.
We may not get the notification and just keep sending buttons.
You may just be getting buttons for the rest of your life.
And extra content.
Everyone
gets a special wrap-up show every week.
Yep.
Patreon.com/hypothepod. And of course, we also have the $33 tier for the cookedest of units.
Yeah.
And we would like to thank Tom for essentially producing the show.
Yeah.
We've got a stack of swag coming Tom's way that we're curating very heavily.
Yeah.
I'm taking a little field trip to curate some more tomorrow.
Yeah, nice. It's growing into a nice little bundle of stuff.
I almost want to sign up for $33 so I can get some of this stuff.
Shall we get into it?
Yeah, we shall.
All right, let's talk about the Luna Park fire.
Yeah, so 1979, June 9th.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A few days before I was born.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, we've missed your birthday recently.
Yep.
Happy birthday.
Thanks very much. So the ghost train at Luna Park, Sydney, business as usual.
Yep.
Catches on fire.
That's not business as usual.
Yeah, that's not right. Something's not right there.
The spookiness is the business as usual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spookiness, you go in there, you want to get scared. You're like, ooh, this is a bit scary.
You don't want to get scared to death.
Is that smoke?
Yeah.
That's not good.
No.
So anyway, the ghost train burns down and 7 people are killed, 6 children and 1 adult. And the other people on the ride
managed
to get out. Yeah.
It's not a good
tragic accident.
Yeah, not a good spot for there to be a fire because it's, even though like there is like a straight sort of, it's not really a straight line to follow for one thing.
No.
And there's shit everywhere.
Yeah.
And probably part of the problem was that there was no fire suppression technology at all.
I think there had been a bit of a review into the place before that, which
Yeah.
showed that it was terribly unfire safe.
About a year earlier, they were told that if they didn't put in fire suppression stuff, there was going to be a fire.
Yeah. Cut to a year later, and there is a fire, and
Yeah.
7 people lose their life. What makes the fire? What makes this a weird thing worthy of our show, boys?
Well, there's sort of, I feel like there's 3 conspiracies.
Right.
In increasing levels of cookedness. One is that, all right, there's the boringest conspiracy, which is probably true, which is after it happened, no one was really held responsible. It did get brought up at like corruption inquiries later on down the track, where they found that not a good enough job had been done investigating anything.
Because they investigated it as recently as like the 90s or the early 2000s, I think.
Yeah. It kept on getting reopened. Because I think they like reopened it in the 90s and they're like, yeah, definitely there was a bit of probably some corruption involved, but there's nothing that can be done about it. And I think it even then got reopened later again because they're like, oh, we still actually hadn't solved corruption in the 90s. And possibly part of the reason why they couldn't find anyone responsible for the corruption from the 70s and the 90s was that they were corrupt as well.
Yeah.
There was an underworld figure that loved lighting fires.
So that's the second sort of
Oh, okay,
conspiracy.
that's the second.
I think this is the second one.
Oh, okay, then there's 4.
So the first...
See, I thought the underworld guy trying to get the lease of Luna Park was the first boring, most obvious one.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So
what are you going with?
Level 1, I think, is that it was an accident,
Right.
but the fact that no one was held responsible, because clearly there were people that were responsible. They cut corners and they didn't implement anything.
Yeah.
That's a literal conspiracy that no one of them was ever prosecuted due to corruption.
Right.
Just like JFK.
Yeah. Exactly. The second conspiracy, so Abe Saffron, the crime figure, who I think was in one of the underbellies.
Right.
Those lovable rogues.
Just flicking a lighter in the corner.
Well, I don't know if he was in love with fire, but he certainly, when it came time to pull any sort of insurance job, he wasn't like, oh, let's drive this into the river.
Yeah.
It's like, what if we just lit it on fire?
I think he was associated with 7 other arson attacks
in
the 2
surrounding
years following
months,
the Ghost Train fire. Yeah. So it was his niece, right? His niece come out and said in 2007, you know what? I think my uncle burned down Luna Park.
And then she later, I think, retracted that.
Yeah, she took it all back.
Yeah.
So I think someone, former park artist called Martin Sharp, had claimed that Saffron approached the owner several years before the fire, offering to buy the park, but was refused.
Abe Saffron is not a good name for a gangster.
No, it doesn't sound tough at all.
Yeah.
Good name for a celebrity chef.
Yeah.
How good would that be?
Oh, you got to use saffron? No, I hate it.
No. Yeah.
It's dogged me my whole life.
Yeah. It's like if I was a celebrity chef and my name was Jeff Coriander.
Well, if it helps, I believe that his nickname was Mr. Sin.
Right.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's better, right?
Yeah.
He probably went by Mr. Sin. Everyone's like, hey, Abe, it's Mr. Sin.
Mr. Saffron?
Yeah.
No!
Oh, it's Saffron. Shut up, it's Sin.
So the idea with...
Trying to make it a thing.
The idea with his involvement is that once the Ghost Train burnt down, the ownership or the lease on the park was transferred because they took it off the people that had it. The idea was that it would then go into his thing and he would control it. But I don't think he ended up with it.
No, it went to some other park management company.
Yeah, so it didn't work. But that seems fairly plausible. The fact that like a family member, because I also feel like if you're the niece of Mr. Sin, the king of the cross,
you don't want to finger that guy.
Fuck up.
What? That's what you say. You don't want to finger him for the crime.
No, I think if you've already got like all of this dirty laundry in your family background, you're probably not going to come out and say, oh, by the way, like the murders of 7 innocent people, also, that was my family as well.
Yeah.
Unless you actually think that it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even if you do think it is, maybe just keep it to yourself.
Yeah. Don't be a nut.
Yeah, you're going to be very unpopular at a bloody Passover dinner.
Okay, so first level, maybe a fault, maybe covered up, maybe burned down by Mr. Sin.
Just that also on Mr. Sin in 85, New South Wales MP Michael John Hatton come out and claim that Mr. Sin, I'll help him get Mr. Sin off the ground.
Yeah, he's a worthy bloke.
I think he got it off the ground.
He did?
He was
All
like
right.
one of the biggest gangster in Sydney.
Okay, well, Mr. Saffron had beneficial ownership of the park.
He is dead though, so you don't have to be that respectful.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about him.
Little AB Saffron.
Yeah. So this MP come out and said that he had beneficial ownership of the park, which sprung an inquiry which found that people related to him were involved in supplying the pinball machines and all the arcade stuff there, but he didn't actually have any sort of ownership at all.
I love that supplying pinball machines is a classic mafia racket.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of lame in modern times. But back then it's like, yeah, good on them. Get
How
on that
good would it be
pinball
though?
racket.
How good would it be though if you owned a pinball machine company?
Pretty good.
I think it'd be good up until the point the mafia came in and said, "Oh, by the way,
This is our racket.
We're filling all your pinball machines with cocaine.
we own your business."
No more multi-ball for you. That's what they say when they're beating you up.
Or you yelling on the ground, yelling, "Tilt! Tilt!" Bit of pinball gear there.
Yeah, it's good. I
Classic
like it.
pinball gear.
Yeah, I'm not connected to that.
Oh, really? You never played pinball?
No, I'm not connected to that bit that just happened.
Oh, okay.
I'm separate.
Okay.
Well, I did multi-ball. He did tilt. Are you going to...
No.
Oh.
So what's the next sort of level of conspiracy then if we're saying there's 4 levels?
Well, no, now we've bundled them up into the first. So you got electrical fault.
Yep.
You got Mr. Saffron.
Yep.
Then you've got... I always figure hauntings. Now it's haunted. The park is haunted.
All right. Well, let's talk about that then.
Yeah. So they built something else where the ghost train used to be, right?
Yeah, I heard differing things. I read differing things, I should say. One was the big top is there now.
Yeah.
Or the other one was it's just an office.
I think it might have been the big top first.
Okay.
And now it's offices.
Yeah, right.
Both things haunted.
Yeah. Well, it's the same. Essentially the same burial.
Same spot.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know. I'd prefer to be in a haunted office than a haunted big top.
Yeah. There's a whole clown situation in the big top that I don't want to fuck with.
And lots of, like, especially if you're in the middle and the seats sort of rise up into the darkness.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to be seeing any little ghosts hanging out.
Circular laughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want it. I don't want any of that.
In an office, it's like, ugh.
Yeah. Stapler's fallen off the desk again. I said print in landscape. Damn haunted printer.
So yeah, there was one story that popped up in a few places that was some lady reckoned she was having a sleepover
At Luna Park?
At her friend's house just near Luna Park.
Oh, right.
And they heard, in the middle of the night, heard some screams, looked out the window and they thought they saw a fire, but it was years after.
Okay.
It was just one of those stories that...
Well, it could be a residual haunting effect. I would expect other people to witness that, though.
Yeah, like this is one example of some girls at a sleepover.
Yeah. What are you suggesting?
Famously rational situation.
All right.
And that was about, I got deep into a forum that was...
How old were these girls, though?
It did not say at all.
Because, sure, Sex and the City brought in a new era of adult female friendships.
Yes.
I feel like if you're having a sleepover, you're a teenager, right, though?
This is more Carrie Diaries.
No, sleepovers happen when you're like 8 or 9. I think that's peak sleepover.
Oh, that's earlier than Carrie Diaries.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but I'm saying peak sleepover time would be in your teenage years.
No, that's peak
Or
sneaking
in
out and
your
partying
in
years.
your tween years.
Tweens, yeah.
Yeah, so between 8 and 12.
The point I'm getting to is these women on the or these young ladies on the cusp of womanhood.
Jesus Christ. I didn't think he was going to go there. And
Who
here
are,
we are.
as a result, more attuned to the ethereal.
Yep, no, that's fair. Yep.
That's not a new concept.
No, that's a common trope.
Yeah. Poltergeists.
Yes.
Will often attach themselves.
So that was like a random story, friend of a friend said this and it just popped up on every Occult website.
Yeah.
But I jumped some sort of paranormal forum I was reading and someone told the story about this and then, they'd heard that there was paranormal activity there. And then someone suggested they do someone go there, the medium goes there, and then no one was around. So then someone else suggested they do a group medium thing where they all try and attune to it. But for some reason, that was poorly communicated. And the next 3 pages of this forum discussion are like people getting passive aggressive towards each other, of like someone not really understanding what a group medium thing and saying, I'm not really that skilled, I don't think I can do it. Like, no, this discussion, everyone's up for the discussion. They're like, no, I mean this. And it just went for 3 pages. And then someone's like, oh, okay, cool. Well, he's still powerful enough to go and do the thing, like to do the mediuming. And he's like, no, I'm not even in that state. And so what is this conversation?
Yeah, come on, guys, let's get this.
Yeah, they just got massively off track.
Yeah.
They
Did the
never
mods step in?
No, I think one
or
of the
even
mods,
an admin.
I think one of the mods started it. If I'm honest, some guy was
poorly moderated forum, in my opinion.
It never got anywhere, and so they never did their group mediuming to chat to the ghosts.
Yeah,
and it just trailed off.
So they're stuck on this plane of existence.
Astral planes were mentioned. One lady was unhappy she was only on 2 astral planes.
Yeah.
So she wasn't sure if she could join in the group mediuming.
Yeah. Well,
and then someone said, anyone can join in. It's a group discussion. Like, no, the mediuming.
V Bulletin software.
Yeah.
Did you ever fuck around with a setting they had called send them to the Coventry or something?
No.
Where it was this thing, I don't know if it was an add-on, but you could like, instead of banning someone, you could put this setting on for them that like 70% of the time they'd get like a 403 or a 404 error page. So they'd try and like log on to, like if someone was with dick all the time, but not a big enough dick to ban, it would just frustrate the shit out of them because every time they'd try and load the forum, it would just like be like, keep getting errors.
Well, it's sort of like that was one of the early forms of shadow banning.
Right.
That idea that you make them think that no one's engaging with them.
Right.
But yeah, you just frustrate them until they leave on their own. That way they don't keep on trying to set up new things. I was always partial to the devowler. You could like hit a thing and it would take all the vowels out of everything they'd written. It's like they spent so much time writing it and you're like, I'm just taking the vowels out.
Classic.
So that's the ghost theory.
Yeah.
Right.
Do we need to set up a V bulletin for Hypothepod?
Oh, I tried to set up an angel fire. Yeah. And I struggled with the GIFs. GIFs are so hard to do an angel fire.
Yeah?
Like you can't just link the image.
How were they doing it back in the 90s?
Well, I think they've tried to like modern up their, what do you call that?
The GUI?
Yeah, the content management system.
Right.
And make it easier, but it is not compatible with GIFs. So you actually need to like do some code to get the GIFs working. It's like, that's way more than I anticipated.
How are we ever going to embed V bulletin code into an Angel Fire page?
So we've got like...
if we do have a V bulletin forum, it will be on that Angel Fire page.
Yeah.
I've got like, all-seeing eye triangles that are supposed to rotate and spin.
Do you have an under construction GIF?
Yeah, I've got one of those.
Yeah, of course, because it's under construction.
But they're all just static all over the page, which is maybe true to the spirit.
It's not just an Angel Fire page, it's like a shit Angel Fire page.
I've tried to do a parody of it and I've made it worse than what I'm trying to parody. Anyway, all right. The ghosts. Any more on ghosts?
No more on the ghosts. Let's move up to the final stage of the Luna Park fire conspiracy theory.
The top of the pyramid.
So, 2 of the people who died in the fire were John Godson, and his children Damien and Craig, along with the other people. Sometime after the fire, the mum who didn't go on the ghost train because she had a really intense urge to get some ice cream.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a weird little tidbit that she added in?
Yeah. I just wanted an ice cream.
So she was. This is in the early 2000s. She was interviewed about this photo we're about to talk about.
Oh, so that's a regularly recent thing.
Yeah. So in the quote you're saying, she basically, they all decided to go on one last ride. They chose the ghost ride.
Yeah.
She's like, I really got to smash down an ice cream.
Yeah.
She goes, comes back, and they've all ditched her.
Yeah.
And she's all upset. She's like, we've done all the rides together, and now they've ditched me.
Yeah.
Maybe you shouldn't have gone and got that ice cream.
Yeah.
Hard to rubbish someone whose family's just died, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Although you seem to find...
Yeah, I'm going for it. But yeah. It just seems like a weird little like scenario that's played out there.
I think it's probably one of those things that sometimes life doesn't conform to narrative, a neat narrative.
Yeah.
And also, like you say, how it's like a weird little detail. But it's
I don't think it's proof of anything.
No, but it's something that, just to include it in the narrative, it's something that they would have thought about intensely why they didn't go on the ghost train for 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, because I really wanted that ice cream.
Yeah.
Ice cream saved your life.
Is she, or was she making such a big deal about? No, I had to get an ice cream. Had to get an ice cream, guys. Had to get an ice cream.
You saying she's behind it?
I'm not saying that at all.
Jeebus.
No. But
so after the fire and the unfortunate death of her husband and kids, she's like, "Oh, how do you get this roll of film here? I suppose I should go get it. Might be some cherished memories of my lost loved ones on here that I should have around the house. I'll go get the film developed."
Down the chemist.
Pops down the chemist, sends it off.
Yep.
Chemist calls in a few days. This is back when you had to wait. Had to wait for your photos.
Are you doing a bloody Norm Macdonald bit? He's got a bit just like this.
I bet his bit doesn't end like this though.
Pops out the photos. Just having a flip through. Oh yeah. Oh, that was fun. I remember that.
Yeah.
Little tear.
Jesus Christ. Actually, let's get to the point.
Yeah, we are. Oh, I'm sorry to everyone. We didn't mean this.
She flips over to a photo of her son, Damien, who's standing in front of what? A demon? Is a very muscular looking guy.
His abs.
He's got abs.
I'm very impressed with those abs.
He's got some sort of loincloth on.
Yep.
He could be one of the members of Manowar.
Yep. Or going on the television show Man Oh Man.
Yeah. But on the top half of his body, he's wearing this really horrific looking cow skin head with horns.
Yeah.
And it looks really creepy.
Yeah. It's like when you see those creepy Easter Bunny pictures from the 70s and they've just got the Easter Bunny picture, the mask wrong and it looks really messed up.
Yeah.
It's that level of like, whoa.
Yeah.
Weird.
But perfect mask if you're doing a Molochian sacrifice.
Yes. Yeah. Well, not perfect, but in that realm.
Yeah.
Which is this is the fourth theory about the Luna Park fire, is that the whole thing was actually a Molochian sacrifice and that guy was somehow part of it.
Yeah.
There was so it's children being sacrificed, which Moloch loves to do in
That's his
fire. God's son was their last name.
Yep.
Damien was his name, which other than the Omen movies, I think it has some significance. Isn't that what Satan's name is in some? And 7 people, 7 gates of hell.
Yes.
Although, like the Molochian sacrifice, I don't know how accurate they could have been with getting 7 people exactly. It seems like a lot of people were very lucky to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah, well...
Yeah, but if you're Moloch, you've got powers.
The 7 people who died were the ones that were like, holy shit, we've got to get out of here, and they jumped off of the train to try and get out themselves.
Oh, right. And then the other people...
They all died. The people who stayed on the cart, I think, just trundled out the other side of the ghost train.
Oh, that sucks.
It was the people who were like, fuck, let's get out of here. Oh, no, wait, we're in a dark tunnel maze with all this weird shit in it.
Yeah, yeah.
We can't get out. They're the ones who died.
Although apparently some people also reported seeing ghost train carts coming out that were on fire.
Right.
So it might not have been ideal to stay in the cart. But to your point about Moloch having powers, it wasn't Moloch doing the sacrifice, it was a sacrifice to Moloch.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then...
Moloch's
not
getting involved.
Yeah, all right. No, fair point.
So, strangely as well, when the ride was on fire and starting to burn down, witnesses saw the ride carny folk who run the ride still going, in you go, to other people.
I read that as well. Yeah.
Shuffling people into the ride.
Yeah.
It's a bit odd, but not odd if you're in some sort of Molochian trance.
Yeah.
Just trying to feed people into the belly of the beast.
Who is Moloch? We've talked about Moloch before, but have you got some Moloch facts for us?
Moloch was the god of the Ammonites, portrayed as a bronze statue with a calf's head adorned with a royal crown, seated on a throne. His arms are extended to receive the child victims sacrificed to him. And Milton wrote, Moloch was a frightening and terrible demon covered with mother's tears and children's blood.
Jeebus.
Moist boy.
Yeah. It's very moist.
The famous statue of Moloch has 7 doors on it.
Yep.
Which were 7 kinds of cabinets. The first contained flour. The second was for turtle doves.
Yep.
Pretty hardcore so far.
The third was for a ewe.
Yep. Good.
Yep. The fourth was DVDs.
The fourth for a ram, the fifth for a calf, the sixth for a beef, a cow. The thing I wrote down says for a beef.
Okay, yeah, no, definitely.
Unless maybe two people are in there fighting.
It's a rap battle.
It's just like they've got beef. And the seventh for a child. It was because of this that Moloch was associated with Mithras and his 7 mysterious gates with 7 chambers. When a child was sacrificed to Moloch, the fire was lit inside the statue. The priests would beat loudly on drums and other objects so that the cries wouldn't be heard. Was this tragic fire part of some satanic ritual and the sounds of the fun park drowning out the agony of death?
Who were these people worshipping Moloch in the first place?
Ammonites.
Cool your jets, guys.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
Don't leave the play off the kids.
Is
Probably some like criminals or pedos or something you could be sacrificing to someone.
Dexter it up.
Is flour like grain, I guess? Just seems like a weird collection of treats that he's got in there.
Yeah.
Well, he's got like a ram and a ewe, then he's got a calf and then beef.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's translation, but like
flour, and maybe he's going to whip up some sourdough.
Yeah.
Or a little roux.
Make himself a sandwich. White sauce.
Make some gravy.
Yeah, make some gravy for the side of beef.
With the beef.
Yeah. No, fair point.
Make some poutine.
Oh, he's got to get curds in the mix. There's no dairy in this situation.
That's what you've got a cow.
Yeah, of course. No, fair. No.
Before you chop up the cow.
So no one seems to know who this guy with the bull head is. Like no one's ever come forward and said, "Oh, that was me."
Yeah.
There was apparently also witnesses who said there was actually that day like a parade of people like hippies and shit, topless women and people dressed in animal costumes,
right,
doing some sort of paganish hippie march down the wherever it is.
So yeah, I did read something that like around that part of Sydney. I'm not familiar with that part of Sydney at all.
No, me neither.
That there is buskers and
Yeah.
it's where the ferry gets off. So I think where that photo was taken wasn't actually in the park.
Yeah,
it was when they were getting off the ferry.
Yeah.
So prime spot for. Why are you shaking your head? Prime spot for getting some tourists and then fleecing them for their money.
Yeah. See, I would think. When did this happen again? 79?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 38 years ago. The muscular looking fella in the picture, probably in his 20s or maybe 30s.
I'd say 20s. That kind of physique.
So
that sort of rig.
He was a fit looking fella.
Sure was.
So if he was in his late 50s or early 60s, he's probably still kicking around somewhere, unless he met an untimely death. It's not like, he looked like he took care of himself.
Yep.
He's probably lived to a ripe old age, unless he gets taken by like a car accident or something. Yeah. Surely he would
very specific.
Surely he would come forward.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, like,
I don't know how well publicised the photo.
Yeah, I think it made the Sydney Morning Herald, but if he was a Daily Tally reader,
or if he's just some dead shit hippie who was doing his pagan dances.
or
besides pagan dances one day, epic amounts of crunches at the gym the next day.
Like, so he's in his 50s, maybe he's got a button-down job.
Yeah.
And every day goes to the cafe, reads the paper before he heads into the office.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little moment of joy, a little quiet time. One day, don't think I can make it into the office, not feeling well, I'm going to stay in bed. Misses the paper.
Yeah.
That's the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. There's a lot of reasons why he might not have seen something that was probably not on the front page of the paper.
I feel like we need to spearhead some sort of campaign to find out who this guy was. Do we have the resources?
To find some random busker from the 70s? I don't know if we do. This is why people need to sign up to the Patreon. This is what you'll be funding.
Yeah.
Massive, like really weird stalking campaigns.
It's not stalking, it's crowdsourcing.
No, we'll stalk him.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool.
It's not stalking, it's crowdsourcing. Or gang stalking, as it were.
Because I wonder, like, could you try and find as many people who were there that day, and then try and find out how many of them remember whether there was like a parade by some group. Maybe it was a theatre group, maybe it was a local something else group. Try and track back, find out what was happening around the time, who was in their groups.
Well, at this point, a lot of them are old, and I don't really want to talk to old people in my day-to-day life.
This is the guy who goes down and plays fucking Trugo.
Yeah.
It's like 110% old people.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they're really old people.
But he doesn't talk to them.
But he doesn't talk to them. He just goes,
owns them at Trugo.
Go
sinks the piss. And
smash down some party pies afterwards. It's always party pies. And head home. It's a good day out.
Ask if any of them were at Luna Park in 1979.
One of their eyes just glazes over.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I'm in too deep.
Fiery horns just appear out of his head.
Anything else on the old Moloch incident?
Not from me.
No. I think that'll do it for Luna Park, although Moloch is going to make a return very shortly in that Nazi magic. All right, let's talk about Nazis.
Bloody love talking about Nazis.
Yeah. I'm glad you said talking about.
Yeah, well, they were not good dudes.
No. Anyway, you can find us on...
yeah, Nazis, bad
Not
guys.
good dudes. Well, as everyone in the Australian media has agreed in the last few weeks, Nazis not great.
So just a quick aside.
All of their ideas still mostly acceptable. Just don't say you like Hitler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to make a comment about what's happening in the Australian media, but then I thought I'll bring it up in the wrap-up for the Patreons.
Yeah. I watched...
So you'll have some fire opinions to look forward to if you're a Patreon.
I watched...
All right, easy on the sarcasm.
What did you watch? Sorry, Salty.
I watched the David Farrier series Dark Tourist over the last week. Smashed through all of them. And there's one point where he goes to a... where is he? Can't remember. He goes to like a war reenactment group and goes and does the reenactment and everything. And he keeps talking about... He keeps mentioning the guys who are dressing up as Nazis. And there's this big feeling amongst all the recreators of history there that you don't say Nazi, they're just Germans,
right?
But he keeps saying Nazi. It's really funny. But he goes around and talks to people, and they're like, one of them goes,
"Is this in America?"
It might have been. I can't remember. I can't remember. I've got a feeling it was in the UK, but I don't think it was. It was in America because they were all being American soldiers, and then there was a bunch of Nazis,
and also no other country does war reenactments.
So he's in the kitchen tent, and like everyone's just eating together, and he goes to the guy who's dishing up the food. He goes, "Is this weird that like we're all dressed as Americans and we're eating with a bunch of Germans?" And the guy just goes, "They're not Germans. Like, we're just all people. We're just here having fun." It's just like, puts him in this place like, you fucking idiot. They're not actually Nazis. But there's these two Dutch guys who go there walking around in like full SS uniforms. And they're just like so happy they can just go somewhere and do this.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, it's great because we can't do this in our country. It's illegal." It's like, why do you want to dress up like SS dudes so much? And I mean, they do have striking uniforms.
Designed by Armani, weren't they?
Yeah. And I think I've said this before on the podcast. I'll say it again.
You don't have to, though.
Yeah, you just keep bringing it up. Go on.
Their design aesthetic was great.
All right. So I guess we will be talking about...
The murder aesthetic, not so good.
Not so good. Yeah.
We'll be talking about the design aesthetic and the SS and things today. So something I wanted to talk about for a while was the Nazis and the occult. Because I always sort of had an idea that there was like a lot of occult thinking that was involved with Nazism, but I had to be honest, I wasn't really across it all.
Really?
So, yeah.
I was the same. I was aware that it was a thing, mostly from Hellboy comics.
Indiana Jones.
But yeah, hadn't really looked into it that much.
Yeah, I wasn't across the details. And so we looked into it. I was sort of surprised by some of what we discovered.
What were you surprised by?
Well, there's sort of, like Luna Park, there's multiple levels to the connections between the Nazis and the occult. There's the level where, I don't know, people try and blame Nazism on occult things. So the idea that the German people were so entranced by Hitler and these ideas that they would do the terrible things they did, millions dead. I think it's that basic conspiracy theory idea. Wouldn't it be a lot easier if rather than a whole country of people going along with this, they'd just been hypnotized by actual magic or even just hypnotized by some sort of hypnotism.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just that it was something that happened and could easily happen again. And it's sort of happening again right now. But anyway, so that's like one level of it.
Yes.
Then there's the level of it where it's like there's all of this super weird stuff about the Nazis and the occult, like involving Vril and things, which I think we mentioned in a very early episode.
Yeah, the Nazi UFO stuff all
In
relates
Antarctica?
back to Vril and the
Remind me
Thule
what-
Society and stuff.
What Vril is?
Vril is like a sort of like a for energy.
Yeah, a type of power or energy created out of the universe.
Sure. Similar to Loosh?
Yeah, I guess it would sort of fall into a similar category.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think we'll get back to Vril in a minute. But yeah, there's these sort of crazy ideas. And then there's also these other crazy ideas about the Nazis and the occult that are all true.
Right.
Where heaps of like the central sort of core ideas of Nazism were sort of derived from these really weird occult ideas and like weird pseudoscience. And like not just like their race science, but like heaps of other weird sort of science they were getting up to.
So it seems to be, and I just did a cursory reading on this, and I apologies everyone. It seems to be they dedicated a crap load of time into being like, oh, we heard that Sweden did some witchcraft. Let's go check that out.
Yeah.
We heard there were some tombs in Egypt which maybe has, the Stargate portal. We'll go check that out.
Yeah.
And they were just trying to see whatever edge they could get. They really put a lot of time into that. Is that accurate?
Yeah. So Himmler, I think, was one of the driving guys behind this. I started watching a doco on Amazon Prime about Himmler and the occult.
You and your bloody Amazon Prime.
Sorry for rubbing my largesse in everyone's faces. I had to stop watching it though because it was
because of exploitation of workers by Amazon.
No, because it was really having a go at Himmler for. He wanted to set up this little castle, and he had like a round table, and he wanted to have like an Arthurian round table.
Yep.
And this doco kept on going on about how it was like a neo-Arthurian table. Like they just kept on going on about it. It's like I don't stand Himmler, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a himbo.
Yep.
But the cunt's allowed to have a round table, right?
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
A round table, like a round Arthurian table is good, right? Because there's no head of the table.
Yeah.
Everyone can see each other and be heard.
Yeah.
Maybe
good.
a lot of stuff wouldn't have happened if they could just have his fucking round table.
It's good for collaboration.
Good for a game of cards.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of meetings, obviously it would have been better if they were standing up.
Well, yeah.
Stand-ups.
Yeah. If they just held. Well, that's the thing, though. We don't want to give the Nazis too much good advice on project management.
We don't want the Nazis to be starting to run agile projects.
Wait, going back to the start of this podcast, wasn't that what got them in trouble? They got caught in a bloody sprint. Okay, so Himmler was doing stuff. He wanted his big table.
And I sort of had to turn it off, but then I wish I'd kept on watching.
You turned it off just because you got sick of them saying neo-Arthurian?
They kept on going on about it. And then, and then I was like, you know what I'll do? Because there were 2 docos about the Nazis and the occult on Amazon Prime.
All right.
I was like, all right, I'll go watch the other one. I'm sick of this one directed by some guy whose main filmographical output is weird war movies with Brian Blessed in the lead.
Oh, really? I like Brian Blessed.
Yeah, but I don't know if I want to see him as like the main soldier in a war.
What? That's exactly what he should be in.
Anyway, I was like, I'll go check out the other doco on Amazon Prime with a different name. Put it on. Same doco.
You got Amazon Primed.
The weird thing about this castle, though, is that even though they kept on going on about the Neo-Arthurian thing,
you're not the only one going on about it.
It was the Woolsburg Castle.
Okay.
I'm not sure about the pronunciation of that, but it was they picked that spot for their little castle based on this guy, Carl Williget, who was like Himmler's psychic advisor. And it was based on his prophecies that they should have this castle there.
Right.
And one of the things they had in the castle, which if I hadn't ducked out, I'm sure I would have learnt about, was they had a Grail room with a spot for where they were going to put the Holy Grail when they found it.
The Holy Grail, famous work of fiction.
Yeah. But that's the thing, they spent a lot of time
trying to find it.
Yeah.
And it's like all of that shit is in like the Indiana Jones movies, right?
Yeah.
Where you're like, all right, well, that's stupid.
Yeah.
What a stupid idea. But it's all happened. They went looking for this stuff.
Hey, do you guys want to hear a quick hot take?
Yeah, I'd love it.
I watched the first Indiana Jones movie the other night. Does not hold up.
No, I'm sure none of them aged very well at all.
I feel you're wrong.
Emma and I were watching it, I was just like...
Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yeah, it's not good anymore.
Nah, I don't believe you.
Yeah, don't watch it. Stay in that place. Stay in that place.
I would have watched it not that long ago.
I feel like even the core concept of Indiana Jones just going into these places and stealing their artifacts probably is not that great.
They belong in a museum!
Also, I want to mention the pronunciation of castle for people that don't live in Australia. Castle and castle.
Castle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
castle.
Yeah. Just making that clear that Cam's saying castle.
Weird.
Yeah.
Wait, did I say it the same way as you guys?
No, you say castle.
Castle.
Whatever.
That's all right. It's Victoria. It's an Australian thing. Other than South Australia, the only other good state.
There's a really great old video from, I can't remember who made it, Funny or Die or someone, and it's like Indiana Jones at an auction, and they're like, up next for sale is Robert Fripp's guitar. And Robert Fripp's not dead, but that's part of the joke. Up for sale,
Robert Fripp is.
Up for sale is Robert Fripp's guitar, and Indiana Jones stands up and goes, "That belongs to Robert Fripp." And they're like, "Robert Fripp's dead," and he goes, "It belongs in a museum." Sit down, Dr. Jones. It's great. But yes, Indiana Jones movie is brilliant. Watch them again many times.
Castle.
Anyway.
Inside the castle.
Yeah.
Grail room?
Grail room, big circle table.
Yeah.
Was that the one? I know one of them had the black sun circle. I looked up a lot about the black sun.
That's the Thule Society.
Okay.
Which, all right, let's talk about Atlantis and Thule.
Before we dive down, I think Cam and I, you discussed this earlier. We might have to come back to this because there is a lot in here.
There's a lot of Nazi cult stuff. All right, so I think I have a way to get to where we need to go.
Okay.
All right. You want a beat?
The first book you need to know about is The Coming Race by Edward Bulwer Lytton, published in 1871, which is where Vril comes from. And it's a science fiction book. But I guess in 1871, people were fucking stupid. A whole bunch of people were like, oh, but what if this was real? It doesn't actually say it's not real anywhere on it. So this is, modest proposal times, I guess, where they really need these things spelt out for them. A few years later, 1888, Helena Blavatsky, one of the co-founders of Theosophy, which I'm sure we're going to have to come back to discuss at another point as well. She writes a book called The Secret Doctrine, and in it she is very much convinced that Vril is a real thing. But she also posits the idea that there were sort of 7 root races from which modern humanity is derived.
Okay.
The first race was the Polarians. And these came in epochs, if you remember, like our Crowley episode, the idea that time's split up into these huge epochs. So the first race was the Polarians, who were ethereal. They were not solid physical beings.
You could breathe one in.
Yep. Well, if you could breathe one in, then you're in the wrong bloody epoch.
Yeah.
Then there came the Hyperboreans, who we've mentioned before. It was like I think a race of giants is the idea there.
Yeah, you were into them for a while, weren't you?
The
giant races.
Oh, when we were talking about the fucking half angel offsprings.
Yeah. Are they related to them? No.
There could be some connections to that idea.
Yeah.
Then came the Lemurian, who just happened to hang out right here in Australia. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie!
Oh, crikey.
Bloody Lemurians.
Only got ourselves a little Lemurian.
And then came the Atlanteans. And we all know what happened there.
Yep.
Except, you can see why this appealed to the Nazis. So there's the Atlantean race, and then that sort of split up into these sub-races, some of which were not as superior as others.
Oh, no.
But the most superior of them were the Aryans, and they got out of Atlantis before it sunk.
Right.
They went to Tibet, where they hung out and did Tibetan things, started putting together like the not racist Swazis on everything.
Yep.
Bit of throat singing.
Yep.
And then they moved west into Europe.
Yeah. Looking very white.
Yes.
While they were doing it.
Yeah. That the Aryan white Nordic sort of blonde, blue-eyed thing. The idea is that this is the descendants of the Atlanteans. Anyway, that idea became very popular in Germany, in Austria, and thereabouts. And so Hitler and Himmler and all these guys were massively into it. And part of Himmler's job as the head of the SS was running like this department of prehistory to go out and try and prove that all of this was real.
It's interesting. The one we did about New Zealand, the pre-Māori races and Moriori races in New Zealand, where people are like, oh, we need to prove that white people landed here first. That's really the same thing.
Yeah.
Like they're going out and saying, nah, there's white people in New Zealand before anyone else came along. So therefore we're superior. That's exactly what the Nazis were trying to do.
Yeah. So part of their problem when they were talking about what a superior race they were was that, like, in history, the people in the Germanic regions had been like mucking around with like basic stone tools while the Greeks were busy down further south building the Acropolis. And so they had to do some historical gymnastics to sort of prove that actually it was like the Aryans who'd popped down to Greece for a little bit, set up this much more advanced society, and then fucked off back to the wastelands of the north to, just camp out for a bit maybe.
Did we talk about this in Atlantis? They went looking for Atlantis to find some sort of like super energy weapon?
Yeah, I think that was related to finding something for Vril, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this is where it gets into slightly trickier territory, how into Vril the Nazis were.
Yeah.
In the 60s, some books came out that there'd been a Vril society.
Yeah. Yeah, there was the Thule Society and the Vril Society.
Yeah.
I think one of them was... The Thule Society is what people think the Nazi party came out of.
Well, that actually happened. So the Thule Society was very into this Aryan theory with all of this stuff. Oh, by the way, aliens are massively involved in this. Like, they came down and like sorted this out. Some of this like stuff where the races are all mixing or like becoming inferior. Some of this is happening on other planets before they end up on Tibet.
This is just Scientology, right?
Sort of.
Yeah, interesting. Carry on.
But so the Thule Society ended up sort of becoming the Nazi party. They became like the precursor to the Nazi party.
Yeah.
And then, Hitler was like, let's whack a few extra letters onto this.
Yeah.
The Vril Society, it's not really clear how real they were. But there's an idea that there was like a core group of Nazis who were out there trying to get their hands on some bloody Vril.
Yeah.
Which would have won them the war.
Yeah. To power all their UFOs.
They didn't need to crash it on into Antarctica.
Yeah.
You said there was 7 races.
There's 2 more, but they haven't come yet.
What?
So I think the idea was that we would evolve, and I believe we're supposed to go to Mercury to do some of this. Evolution.
Really?
Or maybe we evolve and then we go to Mercury.
Maybe you evolve and realise that Mercury's not that great.
Yeah.
Whoever wrote it should have chose Mars.
Yeah. Or we're on the best planet already.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't really matter which planet we go to because they're all basically made out of ice.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about the world ice theory.
Oh.
Or the
Jeez.
Weltus... Oh, I can't pronounce this. Weltus Air. This was a theory come up by a guy called Hans Horbiger. Classic Nazi scientist.
HH?
He sort of came up with this, not really through rigorous scientific testing or anything, but it came to him in a dream. that everything was made out of ice. He had a vision that like the Earth and the Moon and all the planets and everything were all sort of made out of ice, and it had all just sort of been banged out in different ways, and so we ended up with what we've got.
So
that sounds fucking stupid, right? You know who loved it? Hitler.
Wait, but he didn't just wake up and go, "Oh no, this is not ice. It's a different collection of atoms, and it's my normal life." He just thought his bed was ice when he woke up.
Yeah, he woke up and he was like, "Oh, right, I get it. Everything's made out of ice." And it's sort of ice in different sort of forms.
Yeah.
But everything was made out of ice. It was the world ice theory. It was sort of a bit of a fringe theory because obviously the world's not made out of ice. But when the Nazis started to pick up steam, the people that were into this, they were really good at like getting their message out, and they saw the writing on the wall, and they're like, let's tie this super closely to Nazism. And so they really positioned it as like the anti-Jewish scientific theory, because you had this Einstein Jew going on about the theory of relativity and not mentioning ice at all. Here's the proper German theory of how the universe works. And Hitler was like, yeah, that's great. And was massively into it.
Wow.
To the extent that like the Hitler planetarium was going to have a whole floor dedicated to this cooked idea.
I mean, I guess everything is made up of atoms.
Yeah.
Does he think...
What if all those atoms are ice?
Yeah. Does he think that's the same thing? It's weird.
This is why they couldn't build a bomb.
So I thought it was ice. They're trying to build it out of water.
Build an atom bomb.
Right.
Stop them melting.
Yeah. Interesting. What else we got?
Well, the whole real UFO thing always takes me back to my fun place of hidden Antarctic UFO Nazi bases.
Yeah. Everyone's a fun place, to be fair.
Yeah. And in amongst all the occult stuff, did you guys come across much of the Spear of Longinus?
I did a little bit.
Yeah.
So this was more of what Himmler was up to.
Hitler. War for Hitler. Yeah. Hitler was obsessed with the Spear of Longinus.
How the fuck does he have time for all this? You know what I mean? Like, he's starting a freaking world war.
24 hours every day.
And then he's just like...
Yeah, he was on speed a lot of the time.
I heard about this cooked spear.
Yeah.
I'm super into that.
So the Spear of Longinus, for who doesn't know, the Spear of Destiny, you don't know what it is?
No.
So Jesus gets put up on the cross. He's crucified.
Yeah, not having a great time of it.
After however many days he was up there, a soldier whose name in history or in the story, his name is Longinus, went up to Jesus with a spear, stabbed him in the side.
Oh, yeah.
See if he was dead or not.
One of the famously unnecessary spearings of history.
Yeah.
You know?
Fucking... Yep. No, he's dead.
Because like that guy is like sort of the archetypal dickhead, like the asshole.
Yeah.
Like it's bad enough that they've nailed him up. He's the one guy that was like, I'll just give him a little poke with me spear.
Yeah.
And all the imagery of him with that cut on in his ribs, there's blood coming out, right?
Yeah. Well, I think when they put him up there, they crucified him and stabbed him.
Okay.
And then they went back with a spear to
stab him
poke
again.
him, see if he was dead or not.
Poor bloke.
So there
Poke
was
him with a stick though, is my point.
Yeah.
Throw a rock at him or something. Hey, mate, you alive?
No, they gave it to bloody dickhead Longinus.
I'll show him.
He's like the fucking bully dickhead. So there's all this mythology and mysticism surrounding the lance that whoever has it becomes basically undefeatable, wins everything, best guy ever, huge. Trump's probably got it.
Yeah.
But that losing the lance results in the downfall of the owner. So Hitler was like obsessed with coming into possession of this thing. There is a bunch of them in the world that are purported to be the Spear of Longinus. There's one in, I think, Vienna. There's one in the Vatican. There's one in the Vatican, and there's one in Vienna. You would think the one in the Vatican would be the one that everyone thought was the real one, but it's not. It's the one in Vienna.
It's why the Vienna's winning so many wars.
Yeah.
Most livable city now as well.
Shit.
Jesus. fucking spear. It's the spear. So a guy called Ravenscroft wrote a lot about it. And they mentioned it also in the Hellboy movie that Hitler got the spear of Longinus. I also thought it was funny because they have the spear, and then they lashed a nail from the crucifixion to it, and then years later they wrapped silver around the nail to make sure that it stayed on there better. And then a bit later they wrapped gold around the silver to make sure the silver stayed on there. So now it's like a spearhead with this big bit of gold wrapped around it.
So, like, in order to, I guess, like, 'cause stabbing someone with a spear while they're on a cross is a mean thing to do.
Yeah. Stabbing the Son of God with a spear turns it into a magical spear.
But then they just kept on making it more decorative.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to trick this up a bit.
Yeah.
When Jesus comes back, he's going to be stoked.
Yeah. Hey, woohoo, check it out. Hey, get it away from me. Bill Hicks had a bit about if all these people wearing crosses, you think Jesus comes back, he's going to want to see a cross. It's like going up to Jackie Onassis with a little sniper rifle pin. Hey. But apparently all the sneaky U-boats that fled Germany and went to the various places, Argentina and the secret UFO base, they smuggled the spear away
to Antarctica.
And then later on, a secret Nazi society went and got it, took it back to Europe.
Right. So it's in Germany now, but we don't know where? Or is it in Vienna?
It's in Vienna.
Okay. Can you see it in Vienna?
I believe you can.
Sweet.
Yeah. If it's a real one, though, the Nazis might still have the real one.
I don't think so, though, because they famously lost.
Yeah, they didn't help them.
They're hiding in the Hollow Earth.
Yeah, no, good point, Counterpoint.
So, one of the other things that Himmler was like looking for, because he was sort of obsessed with the witch hunts through Europe.
Yeah.
Because he felt that they'd been a cover for like targeting Aryans. But yeah, there was just some weird stuff. Also, the really weird thing about like all of these guys in the prehistory unit of the SS, who I guess as far as like the evil rankings of the SS are maybe not the most evil. There was a bit of crossover with a lot of these weird science guys with like the really bad stuff. But like in the post-war period, in the denazification, like these guys weren't getting locked up. They were still like the main archaeologists of Germany. They're like, let's just go back to, I don't know, looking at caves and less looking for spears.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's still the same thing. We're just going to find it and then preserve it for future generations, rather than find it and then use it to enslave humanity. In the name of the Aryan race.
We're just going to go back to looking in the caves for just normal stuff. It's all right, fellas. We know there are rules in there still somewhere.
So I found a little bit of Moloch gear.
Ah, yes, our old friend. But not the Winston Churchill thing.
No. I found that, so allegedly there was this this altar that was uncovered in Greece in like the 1800s. It was the Pergamon altar. And some German archaeologists found it. And then it was kind of ruined. It was this huge altar. It was a huge kind of steps and everything. And they thought, oh, maybe it got called Satan's throne because it was big enough that Satan could sit in it if Satan was a huge dude.
Yeah.
So they removed it like brick by brick and put it into Germany, and it stayed there. And then I think Hitler's architect, the guy that kind of did all the design that Salty loves so much, saw it in Germany in this museum, and he's like, oh, that's pretty sweet. We can kind of recreate that. And so, you know, the big, like when you see Hitler giving a speech and he's kind of surrounded by like big sort of buildings architecture, that's kind of based off Satan's throne.
Right.
So the theory was that Hitler was possessed by Moloch, and he was kind of a personification of that, and he had built that throne to honor Satan. And then Obama got tied into this one, where like apparently Obama visited Satan's throne and gave speeches there.
Right.
I tried to look that up, and you just get all that fucking cooked fake news stuff. Like Obama literally bloody Satan, look at him going and doing. It turns out he didn't. Like he just visited the museum where it is, and it's just a normal museum with this cool thing that you're going to go look at.
Yeah.
And then I think he gave a speech somewhere else in Germany. Like, oh, he went and did bloody Satan things.
Yeah. It's not like Bonzo Goes to Bitburg.
There's nothing like Bonzo Goes to Bitburg. Yeah, and it was kind of it was interesting. Like I was trying to find, like the History Channel style information around the stories around this, and then the actual story. Because Obama was tied into it, that it just dominated all the Google results.
Right,
where you couldn't really find anything other than if you Google Puigdemont's altar, you're going to get Obama stuff, and you're not going to get like the actual story. Whereas the Wikipedia page doesn't even mention the Satan's altar part.
right.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Have you seen that meme where it's like, I like driving around seeing buildings that were obviously Pizza Huts?
Yes.
And then the bottom picture is Germany be like, and there's like a Burger King built in that's inside this massive concrete building with like, you can see the shadow of where the big eagle used to be on the front of it.
Yeah. Like a brutalist structure.
Yeah, this big brutalist building, and it's just like clearly an old Nazi building with like a Burger King sign on the front of it.
Yeah.
But Churchill also dropped some Moloch gear on Hitler.
Yeah. So in his memoir, Sir Winston said, Hitler had conjured up the fearful idol of an all-devouring Moloch, of which he was the priest and incarnation.
Which sort of gets thrown around as the C.
Yeah.
But it's just like
just a
Churchill
bad-
being like, what's like the fucking nastiest thing I can say about this Hitler bloke
Yeah.
who I famously didn't get on with.
Yeah.
It's a metaphor.
Yeah.
Whereas the conspiracy forums now use that as like, oh, see?
Proof.
Yeah.
Proof.
Also,
Proof Hitler was a bad dude. Got him now.
We needed that. Finally. Thanks, Winston.
I also saw in that sort of idea that like the Nazis were using magic sort of thing. Apparently Hitler's suicide on April 30th, or I think it was on April 29th, was Walpurgis night or Witches night. And that has some sort of significance. I think it's probably more significant that he was about to get captured.
Yeah.
And so he took the quick way out.
Yeah. He wasn't like, it's all over for me. My life's work is ruined. I wonder what day it is.
Oh, Witches night.
Better knock myself off.
Yeah.
I saw one critique of like a History Channel thing where one of the bits of proof they had that Hitler was like this master magician was there was some guy at the Nuremberg trials was asked like, would you still, if Hitler was here, would you still do what he said? And he was like, yeah. And they're like, oh, wow. His hold remains on this guy from beyond the grave. It's like, well, firstly, the question is, if Hitler was here, would you do what he said? And he's like, yeah. And also, like, this guy's about to be executed for being a Nazi.
Yeah.
Like, this is not the time to be like, oh, no, I don't know about Nazis, eh?
And also, he doesn't want to fucking dog his mate when his mate's dead.
No.
I'll stick up for my mate.
I
Solid dude, that Nazi that was about to be executed.
There's a great bit that it's some other comedian's bit, not like some other comedian, not me, like I'm a comedian.
Yeah.
But I saw a thing, I think it was on a Norm interview recently, and the comedian said something about, say what you will about Hitler, at least he did kill Hitler.
That sounds like a Norm
That
Macdonald.
was pretty funny. Yeah, it wasn't though, it was someone else.
Did you guys come across much Hess stuff?
No.
I think we'll probably be coming back to Hess then.
Do we want to come back to Hess and do a full show or a full halfer?
I reckon.
Or do you have gear now?
I reckon there's a full topic in Hess. Oh, the only thing I've got is Hess was just cooked.
Okay.
Just skip that episode when it comes up. Cam's just wrapped it up.
Yeah.
One of the things I learned about Hess while I was researching is that Hess is sort of famously went around everyone to propose a truce with the Poms.
Oh, this is the bloke that bloody parachuted.
Yeah.
Parachuted into the UK.
What I didn't realise about Hess is, because I knew that when he was, captured, he sort of went a little bit cuckoo. What I didn't realise is that maybe that wasn't just because he was captured and he was like trying to put on a thing. Maybe he was just absolutely nuts.
Right.
Part of the reason why he apparently went to do that was because his astrologer told him to do it.
Right. Who did we talk about on the podcast that was going to go over and broker a deal with Hitler?
That was Hess.
Hess, so Hess parachuted in to the UK.
No, but someone else was going to go over and wheel and deal with Hitler. Who was that?
Fuck, that just sounds like Trump.
Yeah. There was someone. I'm sure there was someone we've talked about, not like Alistair Crowley or someone who was like
Not like
talking with someone in the Nazi party and was like, I'm going to go over it. Oh, or is it Kim Jong I'm thinking of?
It sounds like his, because that's exactly what he did, but the other side.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other.
Oh, that's going to do me frickin' head in.
Just, I guess, one final thing. Apparently Crowley went over to hang out with Hitler.
Maybe it was Crowley.
No evidence of this anywhere.
Right.
That was in a series of short stories or something, right?
Yeah, it's not like in his diaries or anything, but yeah, there's an idea that he went over because I guess he was like, "Oh, my fellow magicians."
It's like, Hitler, do you want to come into the desert with me?
So anyway,
well, should we wrap this puppy up?
Yeah.
Where do people find us?
They can find us on Twitter at twitter.com/hypothepod. You can find us on Facebook, iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're on Stitcher. Anywhere you want to listen to us, you can. You can check out some merch on Redbubble, but if you want the really good merch, buttons and pins that will make you the sickest lass or lady, so, lad or lass.
Yep.
At your next.
However you want to identify yourself,
Yeah.
these pins will fucking just make you look fucking schmingin'.
Listen to this.
Oh,
They're made of metal.
It's only a little bloody Rowdy Roddy Piper.
No, that was the cooked unit.
Oh, that was the cooked unit
The Rowdy
one.
Roddy one sounds like this.
Oh yeah, still quality.
You'll be the sickest lad or lass down the lodge with these cooked pins.
Yeah.
So do check out patreon.com/hypothepod.
You'll also find some bonus content there as well.
Yeah.
Bits and pieces.
All the wrap-ups.
I chucked up the little funny animation that I did of Alex Jones like a year ago or something.
Yep.
It's a bit of fun.
Yep, we've always got little bits and pieces going up. And even a few bants going in on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just bad. So we own you on there.
Jump on if you are one of our patrons, jump on the community page and
Yeah,
leave us if you want. If there's anything you want us to have a look at, or if you found anything for us to check out, we'll have a look.
Yeah. I can find you, Robo.
You can find me at aleofatime.com. My book is still in stores.
Yep, Keg Bottle Beer.
Keg Bottle Beer, famously called that.
Keg Bottle Can. Bloody boo to the journalist that called it Keg Bottle Beer for an entire article.
Twice in an article.
I don't get that much publicity. I need all I can. So I'll do.
You can get me at Saltmarsh on Twitter and Instagram. Andrew Saltmarsh Illustration on Facebook. Tohida has a Patreon you can check out. Well, it's been my thing. I've pushed it every week for fucking a year. But do check out our Patreon too, because
it's also pretty
different.
good.
It's also pretty good.
Yeah.
Also, I think were we gonna throw it out there? You can cut this if it's not.
Yeah, no, we'll throw it out there.
We're gonna throw it out there that if you happen to support one of our other Patreons, Gather Around Me or Al of a Time or Tohida, and you also come over and support Hypothepod.
At any level?
At any level you want.
Packaged in.
We'll also give you one of the little cooked unit lapel pins.
Yeah, cool. So if you give, say, Isle of a Time, what have I got, a $5, and you give a $3.
Yeah.
We'll send you a pin anyway.
We'll send you a pin.
Yeah, I like it.
And you can find me at Sexton Hunter on Twitter, Gather Around Me on Facebook and iTunes, find the podcast, which will have an episode out this week after a month's break.
Whoa. Really?
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Don't worry about a thing, except if all our world leaders are alien reptilians. I said don't worry about a thing, except maybe the fluoride in our water supply contains mind-altering drugs. Don't worry about a thing, except whether or not Port Arthur was a false flag operation in which to disarm Australia. I said don't worry about a thing. I accept you can definitely hear John Lennon say I buried Paul at the end of Strawberry Fields Forever. Ooh, don't worry about a thing, except not only did Bush do 9/11, but he also keeps the planes out in Area 51, which, let's not forget where all of the aliens are. Don't worry about a thing, except Donald Trump his